All right, welcome back. So let's fit through here.
Of course you can fit Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie is actually very skinny.
Well, it is the apocalypse where kind of more often than not, you'd be more stringy.
That is true, Java. But at the same time, in this game, you're gonna find people that are insanely muscular. Not just Abby, even some Seraphites. So,
which is okay. Here's the weird thing, though. In Last of Us, I don't.
Oh, Java. There you go. They are nested with sin.
Oh, for God's sakes!
They're those kinds of people. I will free you from your corporeal form. No, I don't want to die.
Yeah. You know, it's funny how a lot of issues people have with this game are similar to issues people have with BioShock Infinite. Granted, here's the thing. BioShock Infinite, when it first came out, was beloved. Of course, the main praise being, oh, it's not BioShock 2. This is so much better. It's funny because nowadays BioShock 2 is looked on more fondly, whereas BioShock Infinite is seen as the black sheep of the franchise, mainly due to lack of choice, a bit hokey narrative here, and how over the top they could go with the cults and whatnot. Granted, the whole you getting to kill racist and bigots thing is still something people do like about it.
Alright, so for this section, I recommend doing a bit more stealth up until you get to this point. And don't try to kill everybody at least until you get to this building, because there's a lot of them. And it can be pretty tricky to do so. So I recommend just skipping that bit from the forest and just go straight to this building. It becomes a lot easier back then, because the people over there will not even notice what's going on in the building anyway. So you'll be fine. Yes, Jovan?
Okay, I know why gameplay-wise they make it so that we can only kill. But for a segment like this, Ellie should probably just go for knocking them out. For one thing, it would probably waste less time, and, she would probably make much less of a mess if she just knocks them out. And it's not like she has as much of beef with the Seraphites here and there. Don't get me wrong. We find out that apparently the majority of them are terrible people, but Ellie doesn't really have much of a reason to kill most of these guys.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention,
whereas, say, with the WLF, you could maybe argue that she wants to kill them to make sure that none of them report back, especially because now they're on the lookout for her in particular here.
It's also going to make the quote unquote important deaths in the next part feel very meaningless. Like there's going to be points when Ellie finally kills one of Abby's primary friends, the group that was there when they kill Joel, and then she'll get visibly shaken by the fact that she had to torture someone and stuff like that. Well, okay, Ellie, you've been killing people left and right for hours at this point, for an entire day and a half. At this point, what's a couple more kills?
I guess it's because they were main characters.
I swear there's a trope name from TV tropes regarding that. You do something throughout the whole game, but for some reason, this one time you do it renders your character
morally conflicted.
I think that would be the 8 deadly words tropes.
I don't care what happens to this person.
The big problem, the reason that doesn't work is because it desensitizes the audience. Okay.
Yeah.
By this point, the player has been mercilessly killing people, and yes, for as much as the game tries to shove in our ears that these people have names, that alone is not enough to make us feel guilty. Because when you gave them names, but they're still just faceless mooks, and as a result, we get desensitized towards all this killing. Therefore, later when the character starts getting shaken by all the violence, there's a big emotional disconnect between the player and Ellie.
It's not that story-wise, Ellie never reflects on the many mooks that die. Like, the whole shouting out the mooks' names, for all it's worth, pretty much just amounts to a cheap way to try and get the player to feel sorry. But Ellie never really shows remorse about those. It's more so about the main deaths here and there. Like, anyway, Dubs, the trope you're looking for is the 8 deadly words. I do not care about what happens to these people.
Hang on, I do not care about what happens to these people. That's 10 words.
Sorry. I don't care what happens to these people. Those are the 8 deadly words.
There you go. Jova, wait, you get 10 words more. Yeah, 10 words, and there's supposed to be 8. Who are you, Microsoft?
No. It's just about, having to think wordplay on the fly, and you don't always sync out the word count here and there.
Okay, I'm surprised. Okay, people, I'm surprised people. Okay, I get it's meant to be stealthy, but I'm surprised people don't hear the.
Gameplay story segregation,
well, in this,
but I'll admit it is kind of jarring in this game, which
in this case,
stepping itself up on it.
Well, in this particular instance that prompted you, Dwibs, it makes sense because they're too far away to hear his because he didn't actually scream, he just went. So technically, from the distance those other NPCs were, it does. But that's the thing, Dwibs. Like that's why I said in previous parts, if it's for the gameplay that you're up for, you might as well just be playing Metal Gear Solid 5 because it's a much better stealth game that doesn't have that problem, because in Metal Gear Solid 5 it has a much better AI system where the NPCs will hear things that normally you would expect in a real life situation. Didn't
Metal Gear Solid 5 also have sort of something of a morale system where, based off of how you cleared certain missions, you get different story bits here and there?
Well, not story bits, but the guards actually become smart depending on how you play. For example, if you start doing too many headshots in one specific area, the guards will start wearing helmets. So the game actually, so the guards actually will adapt to what you do in the game. Basically.
Well, I mean, you could just shoot them in the face.
Well, the problem is that it's hard to do that because you have to look straight up in front of them and they will detect you. So it's not that easy. Go ahead, Jova.
Is it sad that feels like something that would actually have more effect on how the player plays stuff rather than them blatantly trying to get you to feel sorry for the mooks in this game?
Mm-hmm. It's also one of those. It's one of those things where the game. It's one of those things where the game basically adapts and. To give you an idea, what's more fun is, of course, the way you can interact by using all the items, like Donkey showed in his MGS5 video, using the various rubber decoys of Big Boss to confuse the guards is always a fun time in MGS5. So it's always good. No, it's always great. Like the stealth in Metal Gear Solid 5 is the best stealth gameplay has ever been in the medium. And I have yet to see it's just a better game all around to be playing. If you're in for the gameplay, by all means play MGS5 instead. It's a much better game than this.
Hell, for all the problems that game had with development, I'd say even the story is more better than this one.
The primary problem with Metal Gear Solid 5 story is that it's incomplete. Because of what we know happened between Konami and Kojima. It's one of those cases where, it's one of those cases where, like, for example, and even then, I would argue, like you were saying, like you were saying, Joe. But even if, the stuff that is in there is still, I would argue, even pretty good for the most part. I in particularly really love. What's also great about Metal Gear Solid 5 that nobody talks about? The music. Quiet's theme is wonderful. Remember how we all heard Quiet's theme being sung at the Game Awards?
Yes, at the Game Awards, where Konami pretty much got ousted by good old Jeff Keighley, who pulled one for his bro Kojima.
Surprise,
it was basically the fuck Konami show for that evening.
Well, okay, sure. Think about it. Kojima's a big Star Wars fan, and Konami denied him getting his award delivered to him by Mark freaking Hamill.
Yeah.
That was dickish doesn't even begin to describe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you know what's the interesting thing? Like, we're going to actually meet one of those brute Seraphites at the end of this part. So
can I?
Again, it's one of those things where are these people like Abby and the brute Seraphite variant getting all the steroids that they need to have such muscular bodies? Because I thought in the post-apocalyptic world it wouldn't be easy to get that buff. But hey.
Now, okay. there are some Apocalypse Tales where, yes, people do get jacked or buffed, but that's because they have the resources. Like, look at Mad Max. There's a reason people get buffed because they have stuff like Thunderdome or Coliseums or Hell Security Forces, of which they have a need to get exercise in. In the world of Mad Max, a lot of exercise facilities probably are still left intact in some way, shape, or form. Also, Mad Max is a lot more fantastical in its setting, per se. Last of Us is supposed to be much more down to earth. And okay, sure, maybe exercise gyms are still around, but it's kind of been a story plot point that food and resources are not as easy to come by. And if you want to become a beefcake, yes, exercise is definitely part of it, but you also need an incredible amount of protein and or steroids. And even if they were using steroids, those are not efficient. Now, you may be saying, oh, but you're thinking too realistically. This is the game that's
supposed to be realistic. That's why I don't like when later this game goes full Resident Evil on us. You know, that's fine for Resident Evil, but this is not Resident Evil.
Not helped by the fact that this game's gameplay structure also feels more Resident Evil-esque. Like, sort of semi-open world thing, but you have this general area you'll go back to over the course of the game. Mind you, with less choice than Resident Evil, but still it feels like that. Mind you, the classic trilogy more so.
Indeed. All right.
And I'll say this, despite what qualms I may have had with the Resident Evil 3 remake, that was still a better zombie game than this, by far. Okay, now can I talk about another thing I don't like about the Seraphites here? As a plot point, it's not so much they're useless, but they're such obvious tools here. Like,
they're just there to be a bad guy for you to beat, that's all.
And not only that, they waste our time, essentially, in the long run of stuff. Like I said.
Yeah, especially in Day 3.
Yeah, regarding Ellie's campaign, they're pretty much just there to, slow you down and hinder your progress.
Even in Abby's, but I'll get into that.
Well, okay, I'll give Abby's campaign some credit, and her story is technically more connected to them. That said, though, they're still bad. Also, I love how those female mooks literally look the same as each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, Jova. All the female all the female Seraphites have the exact same haircut. Now, to be fair, you can make an argument that maybe it's part of the religion where every woman is supposed to, put their hair that way. So you can make that argument. The game never flat out confirms it, but some people have theorized that that's the reason. But it's a very convenient excuse to reuse the same character model over and over. But
that's not that they have the exact same skin complexion. I'm just saying, in a game that tries to
to be fair, there are different skin complexions in Seraphites. Just earlier, I killed one that was clearly black-colored in skin. So
Well, in that case, Pedro, you hit the jackpot because the last 3 female Seraphites you murdered looked exactly.
Remember, Jova, the big brute Seraphite boss near the end of Abby's campaign is black. So that one is given really good focus since he's meant to be a boss battle and everything. So they're not all white, to be fair. So.
Oh, well, yeah, I get that. What I'm talking about is that in a game that tries to get us to care about every little mook, they kind of do a crappy job of differentiating them.
True.
And maybe I wouldn't be... Oh, there's another one that looks exactly the same as the others you murdered. I'm talking mainly about the mooks, not so much the bosses. Again,
don't you see, Joe? But they're twins.
Maybe
if the game just didn't try to make us care by calling them names, maybe we wouldn't mind. But the game is clearly trying to get us to care about the fucking mooks, and yet, again, it literally is a case where the game wants to have its cake and eat it too.
It's like if Pokemon tried to get you to care about every mook or hell, every NPC in that game to the same level as the main characters.
No.
That ain't happening.
I get it, Jova. Here's what happens. Every time you're in a trainer battle, every time you're in a trainer battle in Pokemon, every time you make one of that trainer's Pokemon faint, the trainer will go, "No!" Insert whatever name the trainer gave to the Pokemon when he got it here. You know. How about that, Whips? What would you say if Game Freak decided to implement that in Pokemon?
Implement what? Sorry.
Them yelling out their Pokemon.
Imagine you're fighting a Pokemon trainer, and every time you make one of their Pokemon faint, the trainer will go, "No!" Insert name of the Pokemon that the trainer gave to the Pokemon here.
They, well, in the anime they do that.
True, but in the anime is meant to be more story driven. So, I mean the games.
Pedro, that would require the games, the mainline ones anyway, to have voice acting, and for some reason,
no, they'll do it for text.
Very averse to that.
No, they would do it for text. They would do it for text.
Well, I mean, it'd be more funny if it was just through text, because you don't have to hear the same voice clips over and over.
No, well, no, not necessarily. Like, okay, you know how in Black and White, I don't know if they keep doing. I don't remember if they keep doing it in the new ones. You know how in Black and White, every time. Every time a gym leader or any other important trainer battle you're having, when they're down to one Pokemon, the battle theme changes to the main Pokemon theme, and you even have the character, the trainer make some kind of remark about and stuff like that. You know, you could do that every time a Pokemon you call the Pokemon of the trainer. They do that little bit where the trainer sprite comes in, you know, and says something about that Pokemon's name. There you go.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Sprinting is loud and may reveal your position to enemies. True.
But yeah, back to the Seraphites here. When it comes to, like I said, regarding Ellie's campaign, yes, you get to meet them, but they don't really matter in her campaign. It's mainly Abby's campaign, and even though they matter in Abby's campaign, they're just annoying in Abby's campaign.
It's during the third day. Where the game gets so that's the thing. By the time we reach day 2 in Abby's bit, the game has already made its point with Abby, and Abby technically finishes her quote-unquote character arc by the end of day 2, and yet the game felt like it needed to go on for one extra day, going to the Seraphites Island. Yeah, I know but who cares at this point? Just to drag this even further. But anyway, we're about to be introduced to the Brute Seraphite variant. Yes, because there's a variant of the Seraphites called the Brutes. And they're big and muscular. And they're not taken out as easily as the others.
Right.
Fortunately, I can still take them out with a shotgun that blows their head off. So
yeah.
Yes, Jova?
Yeah, I'm just saying. That's a thing. For all that grandeur, they still can be taken out relatively easily.
Merci.
As you're loaded enough. Are we a makeup department?
That means thank you in French, for those who don't know. All right, so basically, when you are about to open that door, the Brute will come in. So have your shotgun ready. I will also come in and put in this. That gun that I got, that's the silencer rifle that I got because I'm on New Game Plus. That's a gun that you get nearly the end of the game. However, since I'm on New Game Plus, I still have it. So, all right, let's open that door.
Yeah, I can imagine them saying that title in English. Hello and welcome to Thank You.
Oh, oh, he's one of those big brutes. The kind who's like, hey, I know I could probably crush your neck, but I'm gonna just throw you away so you can easily escape and kill me.
There you go.
So he's like one of those generic big giant guy Bond villains.
Basically, yeah. Okay, unfortunately there's 2 more guys that came with him. Fortunately, they're not brutes, so they can be taken out easier.
I think it was with the Seraphites when we saw that gameplay
machete to the
segment during...
dick, apparently.
Apparently. I think it was a fight with the Seraphites that we saw during that gameplay in that E3 in 2018.
Yes. Saw Ghostbusters.
Yeah, this is actually... yeah, if I remember correctly, this is actually a bit from that, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is the particular area too.
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy, we finally see the game to fruition.
And there we go. We're done.
Well, that was an interesting boss encounter. Ended pretty shortly.
Let's move on.
It's not so much that it's a boss battle, it's more so a bigger mook.
Well, okay. Elite mook.
Yeah, an elite mook. Well, to be fair, it wouldn't really make sense for him to survive a shotgun to the head. So...
I guess it just feels weird when you have a big, imposing introduction like that. There's some guy who can get beaten rather easily, but I guess it's to show that, oh, there are now these tougher types of human enemies. Well, though it doesn't make sense that there's so many this muscular, but whatevs.
Maybe, well, if it helps, of course, in Abby's campaign, we'll actually fight them in more traditional fist boss battles, so they won't fall down as easily.
Because, of course, Abby can put up her dukes and all that.
Well, of course, you know. There's nothing Abby cannot do, as you're gonna see when we get to her.
So, Abby's basically Gaston. Right.
No one as strong as Abby. No, nah, it doesn't sound nearly as well when I say Abby in the song.
It only works with Gaston. I'm sorry, but
I'm saying this, but Gaston has more charisma than Abby, and he's a psychopathic killer too.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Maybe it's because I watched it the more recently, but the thing I remember most about Gaston is not even from the film itself; is from those YouTube poops of him. Where where apparently he doesn't want Bell, he wants Taco Bell.
All right, everybody. In the next part, we finish Allie's day 2. So stay tuned.
See ya.
Right, see ya.